Hey, you're listening to Oops Spoilers. This is the entertainment podcast where you get the inside scoop on all things stories, all things story craft, all the things we live, laugh, and love. I'm here today with Miss Emma Arch. Oh my gosh, if I were more prepared, I would have your bio pulled up and ready, but I literally just got that just now. So why don't you just tell the people who you are, what you do, what you love, just fill us in.
Absolutely no stress. I can do an autobiography real quick. So my name's Emma Arch. I'm the author of The Nameless Heir, a YA fantasy book that came out not too long ago, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Self-plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, you better believe I'm gonna link it. It is gonna be in the show notes for you people because let me tell you, side note, when I tell you that this is probably one of my favorite indie published books that I've ever read, one of my favorite books ever, period, full stop. Just so deep and meaningful, but also fun and funny and oh my gosh, like listen, this is when I tell you that she's my auto-buy author. You better believe. And I go to the library. I'm a library girl. So when I tell you,
The same.
yeah, when I tell you I auto-buy, that's serious. That's severe. So anyway, oh my gosh. So what was it like for you writing The Nameless Heir, since we're on the topic? And it's part of a series, right? Is the long-term plan. So what was it like for you plotting a multiple book series, and what inspired you to do that? Because could never be me. I am scared of multiple.
It is. It already is. You're getting there. I know it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
so for me personally, the writing process, I feel always starts for me personally with a character. That's where, because especially in fantasy, you have all these things, the setting that is not grounded, nothing exists yet. And so I feel like to a lot of people that can be really intimidating. I have to build this entire world, figure out the laws, magic laws, if that's included, the people, the government, very intimidating. And so to me, starting out with just your main character and who they are, what they want, and what prevents them from getting it is a really good starting point. And for me, it's also, what do I want to say with the book? What does the whole thing feel like? What's the message you want to get through? And so I had the idea of Fallon, the main character. I actually started writing this book when I was still in high school. I was 17 is when the book started, and took me probably 6 years to see it till the end. Yeah. Because just draft after draft, to go through the query process, get really good feedback, start over again until you're stubborn like me and just publish it yourself. Because I don't think my book was for the market. It's not. It was during the really heavy romantasy era, and I was not a romantasy girly at the time. And so it wasn't for that. It was more for me because I wanted what I wanted to say with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that that's so important to just realize. I was actually watching a clip on Instagram just a second ago. It was Leigh Bardugo, who wrote, Six of Prose series, Shadow and Bone. Exactly. She's fantastic. And super fun to listen to her when she's on panels and stuff. So this was a clip of an interview that she did, and she was saying if you're a new author, querying for the first time and whatever, you keep getting rejections or nobody wants to pick up your book, or your book's, your book is released and it doesn't do what you want it to do, it's really easy to interpret all of those things as a failure, or a sign that you're not meant to be an author, or that you're not good enough or not talented enough. But it really is sometimes just as simple as you sent your query to an agent who potentially in the right place, right time, maybe is a good fit, but whatever, that day they just, they just broke up with their boyfriend, or whatever, literally could be anything. And, or you're something I was listening to the other day was whatever, their name was Jerry and your main character's name is Jerry. And so it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like just
Yeah.
those little coincidences, or like the market just not being favorable towards a certain genre at a certain
That's
time.
a
Like,
huge one, especially working
right.
with an agent now and hearing her perspective. There's so many things from an author end where it's like, I never considered that.
Oh my
I
goodness. I
never
want to
thought of
hear, yeah, I want to hear about like getting an agent. What was that process like for you? You know, like, especially because you released the Nameless Heir like on your own. And then, you know, so I want to know, like, how did things kind of come to be?
Yeah. And I'm still very, very disclaimer in the trial period with my agent,
Hmm.
because it really is, you've got to feel each other out.
Yeah.
You find someone, they show interest in the manuscript, but they want to see how you handle criticism. What edits are you willing to make? How fast can you make these edits? And you're feeling them of what's your communication style? What do you need from me? What do you see for this book? Do you
Right.
see small, medium, or large houses subbing this to?
Hmm.
Use like what kind of deals do you want to make? Where are you in your publishing house? All that. And
Hmm.
so I have good hopes, good vibes about it. And this is not for the Nameless Heir. This is for a upcoming new Emma Arch book that will be coming out,
Oh
hopefully,
yeah, we
in the
can't
next
wait.
5 years. Because another thing is timelines are definitely very different from indie versus traditional. Indie,
Right.
it's all completely up to you. You can edit, and maybe I am 80 years old when it comes to technology. And so uploading it to Amazon and all of that process took me probably longer than it would take a cool person in their 20s. But that's like a week rather than 6 months.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so you get to really pick your own timelines, for better or for worse.
Right, exactly. What do you think was the most helpful thing for you in the process of like, you know, your writing journey, like having kind of experimented and done several different things, you know, like testing the
Mhm.
waters in kind of different areas. What do you feel like was the most helpful, like for your growth and for, you know, putting yourself in the best position to like, you know, make a hopefully a really good connection, you know, and like
Yeah.
even just to do the best you can with what you have, right? Because like what you had at the time was not a romantasy manuscript, like in the case of the Nameless Heir,
Mhm.
but you had something awesome, and like for me it was impactful and worthwhile, you know, to like
Yeah.
read, even if the general market was not like necessarily pushing that at the time. So
Mhm.
like what are some things you feel like you've done that have helped you kind of continue to progress?
The absolute biggest thing is going to sound cheesy, but other writers, making friends.
Mhm.
There is nothing that any step up or accomplishment or milestone that I've gotten to was because another writer helps me, or
Mm.
because they help me get there, explain what to do. Indie authors learn how to do your taxes. That's a thing. And I had to get so much help from my author friends. I had post on my Instagram story. I was like, if you're an indie author, use Amazon. DM a girl, please.
Oh my
I can't
gosh.
go to federal prison for this.
Oh my gosh.
That's one thing that other authors had to help me with.
Mhm.
Formatting the book. Amazon is very, very picky, and with any sort of formatting, of course, people pay. There are people you can pay to do that. I personally chose to do it by myself,
Mhm.
and paying someone, that is definitely, if I were to do this again, indie publish again, I would feel that is a worthy investment now, having the experience of doing it myself. But again, tech savvy girlies, go for it.
Mhm.
But yeah, people helping me with that agenting process. It was actually the agent I'm working with now who helped me with my query.
Wow.
So having an, I believe, don't quote me on this, especially if I work with her in 5 years, that she was agent's assistant at the time. And
Mhm.
so she was the person who was that first roadblock before your query will ever get to the actual agent, of
Mhm.
their cleaning through them, of, because some people don't look at the agent descriptions of, maybe they send a query to this agent that's not even in the genre that they want right now.
Mhm.
So they're the people shuffling through those and seeing what passes and what doesn't. So she was like the first line of defense. She knew what they were looking for. And so that definitely helped me writing a query, because I am not good at being brief, as we can probably tell by my amount of rambling.
No, you're a writer. You're a writer.
Yes,
That's all there
word
is to
savvy.
say. Not an underwriter.
Yeah, so she helped me with everything with that. And especially on social media, which is what a lot of us, especially, is imperative to indie authors, because that's how you get people to read your book when you don't have like traditional publicity and actual marketing like that. And so make good friends on Instagram, like we were, which really helped me out, because then you have people reposting, and then it's not only your account's audience, you get on other accounts' audience, and they come over, and it's just a big community, which I think community, which is other writers, followers, agents, anywhere in your circle. Community is the biggest thing that helps an indie author, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really feel like even like there's the helpful aspects of having people around you, like you were just saying, you know, like that gave you really practical tools and really saved you a lot of time and like uncertainty, you know, especially taxes. The scary. And then like, you know, getting feedback from like a query or feedback on your manuscript, you know, like really helps you to feel much more confident like moving forward, but also like just makes it so much more fun, you know, like it's literally just like, okay, you know, when somebody else is as excited about this project as I am, or is like looking for you know, like looking forward to the updates and like, you know, waiting for me to send them the like aesthetic board, you know, or like that's
very
my
motivating.
favorite things to do is like, oh my gosh, people are like excited and interested in like my story, my characters, you know, and it makes you want to like dig that much more deeply into it and really just pursue that and give it your whole heart. So that's so awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, how did you originally like figure out that writing was something that you wanted to do? You know, because like as we've been talking, it's like you've clearly, I mean, put a ton of like work and effort into this. I mean, even from like formatting your, you know, your book, and then like, you know, looking forward like multiple years in the future, knowing that like if you go traditional publishing with like your next project, that's going to be some more time in the making. So like this is clearly a long-term thing for you. So where was the like genesis, kind of how has that progression, you know, like evolved within yourself?
Yeah, I remember in high school, I think it took to my sophomore year, during those god awful icebreaker games that you would play on like I don't know if other states do that, the first day of school, the get to know you icebreaker games. And of course it was, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what impact do you want to have on the world? And it was in PE that my teacher asked me that. And that was my first time answering, I would like to be an author. And so probably at that point in high school, it got more serious for me, where I took writing classes, because I feel like all of us, it starts with angsty poetry. We were the same, like middle, high school, just I'm going to make a slam poetry book.
I feel like not a poetry book, but I definitely have had moments of angsty poetry. I feel like, honestly, this is so embarrassing. Honestly, like college, I feel like was where my angsty poetry really, we were going through some stuff. We were figuring it out. Oh my gosh.
Yes. I feel like that's where it starts.
Yeah.
They have a theory. And everyone, you get worked up from there, and then it just grows like maybe short stories. Maybe you have an idea for a book, but writing a book is really hard. And so you get so far and then stop and then pick it back up later. But it's just something I absolutely saw myself doing for a long time. And once the Nameless Heir started, like the official, like towards the end process of, like you said, with the community motivating you because people would like to read it and see it. And then the fulfillment when it's done, and then just start the process all over again. It really was. Obviously, I have a full-time day job, and writing is a good little thing where it can be. That's like the difference between like this is my day job, but I want writing to be my career one day. And
Exactly.
eventually you can work towards writing full time, which is very, unless you're like JK, JK
Yeah.
Rowling level, might
Right.
not be full time, but something you can do in between that you don't have to give up a lot for it. It's free besides your
Mm-hmm.
time, which is never free. You can
Right.
you can write on the side because everything takes a while. And I think walking in with that mentality, and it's a delayed gratification because this stuff does take years, but then that makes it all that more rewarding. And then once you have experienced that, it's kind of like chasing that high again of like
Mm-hmm.
getting this book done, getting it published, and giving it to people. Like, give me assurance that it was good. Tell me that you liked it.
Oh my
And then you
gosh.
chase the high all over again with a new project.
We're really just all addicts, it turns out.
Angst and addicts. Yes.
Yeah, honestly. But you know what? People, we're blessing other people. They like it. It's fun. So, as far as your projects, so like we'll start with the Nameless Heir, and anything else that you like, fan fiction, anything else that you are like working on, your vibes want to share. I want the people to have an idea of like what they can look for, expect from you. So like, now is the spoilers, the fangirl time where we
Spoilers.
so if you want to read The Nameless Heir, you go buy you a copy and you can come back later. You just hit pause. It'll be right here. It's not going anywhere. Like what like themes, like the topics that you wanted to talk about in the book. What was like the most important aspect of like the characterization of your characters and then of the novel itself, like where kind of give us like an aesthetic, mental picture of you as an author, that project, any other projects, that you want to get into.
It's actually fun looking at projects over time. If you work at multiple of them at a time, you can kind of see your own character growth through your own characters.
Yeah.
Wait, excuse me, I'm just gonna get comfortable for this part.
Please. Bring out like a tea bag, like a teacup
Exactly.
with a bag, ideally. But oh my gosh.
Yeah, so Fallon for me was very, again, obviously, angsty. She fit in great with the whole, there was that female rage era we
Yes.
all loved, still do. And her whole thing was the theme of the book, in my eyes, of course, it's a personal experience for everybody, was moving on without closure. And embracing that and learning that that can be okay. Because
Yeah.
Fallon has a bad, no, this isn't a projection, a bad relationship with her dad, who, oh, it's spoilers. I can say whatever I want. So
Yeah, exactly. We've already told them. We've already told them that it's spoilers, so they
you've
literally
been
can't say
warned.
anything.
So Fallon, the book starts, Fallon's dad threw her off a cliff in an attempt to execute her. And girl survives, and it's her whole journey, and her whole in her head the beginning is just revenge. It's how do I get back stronger, how do I make him feel the pain that I felt. And she goes through this whole journey, but then she meets people, the other main characters, Ronan and Elwyn, who become her friends and kind of bring out a better side of her. And she sees there's other people struggling, and she at a point has to choose between going and getting her revenge, which at the end there's nothing for her over there anymore. Yeah, your revenge is there, but then once you go, you'll have nobody again. You'll be in the same position you were in, the comforts of the pain you know. And then on the other side, she can choose to stay with her friends and help them. The realm is dying. It's great. You should read about it. Well, the realm is in peril, and she can do that, and it's rewarding. It's new and scary, but she can go be with them and have a greater purpose than what was behind her. And thankfully, she does choose that way, the more interesting way that benefits her and everyone around her. And so that was the main big thing for me.
Yeah.
And she obviously, it's a very struggling path, and it does take a lot of her new friends to help her get there. And that's another thing, is friends make you better. And there are people that will challenge you to bring out better parts of you.
Exactly, and grow you.
Exactly. Help you with that.
LOL, ignore my mom in the background.
No, nobody saw.
She's not
the
really
flash in and out.
Oh my gosh, she was so speedy. It's so funny. I think I forgot to give her something that I meant to do. Oops, my bad. Yeah, something that I think about like on the regular actually is the part where um she's Fallon is talking with Ronan and Eowyn, specifically with Ronan, and they're like having this conversation, and she's like, I was too weak, to like stand up to my dad. I was too weak to like defend myself against him, like do whatever. And he was like, you were literally not weak, like he was the weak one. And she's like, oh, clearly you never met my dad. And I was like, this big hulking Viking man, like he was not weak. Trust, he threw me off this cliff. You know what I'm saying? Like it was not. He was not. And Ronan was like, "How much strength did it take for him to do what he did to you? Like to like hurt a little girl? How much strength did that take from him?" And she's like, "None." And he's like, "How much strength did it take for you to survive it?" And every time,
my book, I'm gonna cry.
No, because when I tell you, I'm like, oh my god,
that's Ronan.
That was crazy. That was so, yeah, that was just like so. That's so. I mean, so profound, and then like so, justifying. I feel like it's so
and she needed.
Yeah, and it's so validating for like anybody who's reading that. You know what I'm saying? And you feel like the failure or the problem or the weak point in the chain, because of something that happened, and just like reframing it in that way was like so like maybe it's just me, but that's like, I mean clearly I like have it locked in, that's like the most eloquent way I feel like I've ever had that be put. And so like, I mean, props to you, but like that's just one thing. Whenever I think about the book, that's like the one thing that I like really like always comes back to for me, is just like finding your own strength and like what that really means sometimes too, is like such a point, especially I like for Eowyn too, because she's like this like dainty little flower child, like soft little, delicate, like protect her, but she also like is like key contender and player, and she like does so much for the group, like keeping them together, you know what I'm saying, and like has this power to give and this strength to give, and it doesn't look like Fallon's, and it doesn't look like Ronan's, but like they're not the same without her,
Yes.
Ugh, love it.
And her plans for the second book, oops, spoilers. The second book is a lot more Eowyn based too, and she actually gets her own POV.
Oh my gosh,
so I'm very excited for that. And you actually like hit the nail perfectly. That in the second book, a lot of my points around Eowyn was, I probably even used this in text, but she is me forgetting what I even said.
Yeah, you got
how did I put it? Yeah, that she is being kind isn't the same thing as being harmless.
Yeah, right.
And her and a lot of the other fairy characters and species kind of get together. It's a lot more, because the first book was a lot of Fallon's world, the mortal world, and the fairy realm. This one is obviously, because Fallon booted out, quit the mortal realm, and so this is all in there, and so we get to meet a lot more of the species in the book. And it's all the realm is called Elfine, all very Elfine based.
I'm so excited.
And Eowyn has her own journey because at the end of the book, when they face spoilers, when they face the shapeshifter, and this is fun. So how do you pronounce the main antagonist's name?
Farik. How do you spell it? Because I like
Fritjof.
Friedhof?
Yeah!
See, it's my Scandinavian blood coming back to play.
For warning, if you don't enjoy silly words, a lot of my book, the mortal realm, is very Scandinavian, like she said, based, and then the fairy realm is very Gaelic and Irish centered. And so it was actually a fun little thing for me. Like a little thing just for me is all the names in this book. If you look into them or look them up, they're all very specific and actually mean something. Like where Fallon is from, Barwin, is actually like snow pile. That's all it means. And then Fallon's name, Fallon, her last name is Solvej. Oh my gosh.
You haven't spelled. You got to go back and respell it. You got to like write it 10 times.
IJ. Solveij is Solveig, and it literally means daughter of the House of Strength.
That's so cool. Oh
and
my gosh.
Ronan is a pretty melody because he's knocking, and yeah, it's all so everything like that. I had a lot of fun. If you want to look up the names, they'll all probably, you might be able to put together a few pieces.
Now I have to. Now I have to like, go back and like Google everything. That's so fun. I know. I like as I've been like getting more into writing craft myself, and like I've been very self-taught for a long time, and now I'm actually enrolled in this like online writing program that's like doing a lot of like the basic building blocks and like teaching, you know, like teaching more of like coming up with a concept and coming up with us, you know, everything. And so one of the like trainings that I watched was like you know, like names and making sure that your names have meaning and like looking into them and just doing like research for books, even like for a fantasy book, you know, it's like, yeah, you can just make it up and do whatever, but like making sure that it feels like tangible and rooted in something. And that's why I love.
Because you have to remember that someone's going to read this name so many times. And so it has to be easy enough to remember, because there's so many names in books that my brain just goes, and then keeps going whenever I come across a word. Like a lot of things in Fourth Wing for me.
Yeah.
Like in the school, it's Any dragon that has
yeah.
So we want to make it tangible, but unique. And like my new project that I'm agented is medieval France. Is where I get a lot of names and inspiration with aesthetics and everything like that. And so that's pretty different from anything else I'd really written. I was really comfortable in that more Scandinavian region. And so moving on to this was really interesting and fun.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so exciting and fun. I love like also getting to like tap into different like kind of real life like inspirations for things in like a fictional setting, because then I feel like it feels more familiar, and then it like also makes it much more tangible to like introduce a fantasy setting for me personally. You know,
sure.
I'm like, if I can kind of feel like I have like the groundwork, like the basics, then it's like easier for me to get to the point where like now we have, you know, like fae, and now we have this kind of magic and stuff, you know, if I can kind of understand like the worldview or the magic system that the characters are kind of coming from. So I mean,
if your prose can introduce the aesthetic and world of your book, it is a lot easier for the reader to fill in the blanks. Because when you start something, it's just this white page and you're slowly filling it in with your descriptions, and you don't want to be info dumpy. You don't want to be telling and not showing. And so if it is even a little grounded, then it's easier for the reader to fill in the blank spaces in the background and match what your book is talking about. Like you don't have to describe every single tree or say forest a bajillion times, and your editor bashes their head into a wall of how many different ways can you describe a tree.
Oh my goodness, for sure. Yeah, and like again, like just having kind of the setting in mind makes that so much easier for sure. How do you feel like you typically go about like okay, so you know, like here's my character, here's what they want and they don't have, and then you know the opportunity for them to go and obtain that, and you know from there your plot kind of like unfolds. How do you feel like you fill in the gaps as far as like you know taking these setting inspirations like from like you know kind of a Scandinavian like culture or from like medieval France type setting, like how do all of those subliminal pieces kind of start like integrating themselves for you?
I'm very much I forget the terms that a lot of people use. There's like the planster, like
like a plotter, pantser.
yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really feel like I've specifically went into any of those 100%. I
Yeah.
very much, there's beginning and end. I love endings and I hate beginnings. I love writing endings. Intros make me see red. I absolutely hate it. And so usually I don't even start from the beginning. I see, like, there's obviously A and Z of the beginning and end. And when you're like really excited about a story, I feel like you get a bunch of flashes of scenes you want to have or events you want to happen. And so I know B, C, D, E, F, however long, and it's just filling in the little spaces to get in between one at a time. And so, yeah, you want the character to go through the whole 9 yards, right? That's the point of the book. It's character development, character journey. And like I said, my favorite thing, I'll repeat it till the day I die. It's my favorite piece of writing advice I've ever gotten is, what does your character want? How do you prevent them from getting it? Because that's like the whole point of the book. It's the whole point of the plot.
Right.
And
Exactly.
feel free to project. I say this all the time. Feel this is your opportunity to turn all of your life, not perils, but events and main character moments. If you know like that hits hard and that like changed you, it's probably gonna change your character. So sprinkle some of that in there. Do not be afraid to do that. Take inspiration from your own life.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Which has been such a journey for me recently too, because historically my like projects or my ideas, like things that have just been percolating, have been mostly like speculative fiction. Like most, like honestly what I read is like a lot of fantasy, and then some like, okay, maybe dystopian, maybe some like historical fantasy, maybe every once in a while like a historical fiction, just good straight up, but good straight up reality, but like not much. And so now the project that I'm working on, that's like kind of my homework, and also like I'm really invested in it now, so it's kind of more than homework, is very much a self-insert. The whole book is like one big self-insert. And so that's been a lot of fun, because it's like, okay, like a lot of like my followers on Instagram started following me because I was writing my like Greek mythology retelling story, which is super fun.
So good, by the way. I got the absolute pleasure of reading it.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I know. And like that one's like locked and loaded, ready to go. She's like resting, she's simmering.
And that's
Just
so
waiting for,
good to jump from project to project.
yeah,
It's so
exactly.
good.
And she's ready to go when the time is right, the audience is right, like when it's her best moment to like be put on the scene, then she's like ready to go. But so few authors, like their first book that they wrote is the first book that they actually publish, and so I'm like, we're not trying to rush her, we're gonna wait for the moment. But like it's interesting because it's like, though that book is very close to my heart and like definitely has a lot of like themes and topics and things that like I'm passionate about, there's not as much opportunity because it's set in like ancient Greece, like fantastical setting. There's not a lot of opportunities for me to be like, oh, that happened to me and that happened to me and that happened to me. I could, but I'd have to rework it and reframe it and make it, ancient. So but now what I'm working on right now is like a contemporary road trip, like summer vibes, where like we're driving in a Jeep with the top down, like very like nostalgic and like real things that I'm like drawing on from like high school time, or like road trips with my family, like whatever. And so I have all of these like stories and memories and things that were like, just crazy, like you said, main character moments. And my family like read my synopsis that I wrote, or like the beginnings of my outline, and they were like, oh my gosh, wait, I remember that, and I remember that. Yeah. My mom looked at me and she goes, you stole my life. I'm like, no ma'am, this is my life.
No, we stole your life.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's so cool, like you're saying, to like look at your own story and your own history, and like the good and the bad moments, and the things that you're struggling with, or the things that you've, like learned from or laughed at, or, whatever. And like just to have those moments be key and informative for your characters. And, like because of that, several of the characters in this book are like based off of people that I really know, or like me and it's very, honestly, it's becoming a book about sisters. Truly. It's really about me and my sister.
As a
And
younger
so,
sister, I love that.
yeah, it's so fun. And so it's just been a really cool like experience and journey. And one of my other guests that I had on, actually, Ileana, she's writing her own like fantasy. It's like, this like monstrosity book, and there's like all of these different timelines and things, and she's explained it to me, and I'm like, oh my, how do you keep track of it? It's like that meme, with like the like murder like crime board and the pins.
Yeah, and he's like a psycho
yeah, exactly.
all the lines connecting.
Exactly. But she tells me, she's like, I started this project, back when I was going through like a really dark time, and like so much. And specifically, she was like referring to like her relationship with God. And she was like, I started this book when I was like deep in like questioning and like rage, and just had so much like hatred for, like people who had hurt me, or like us, like things that I didn't understand. And like I've healed and grown and like really become like a new person in all of this. And now I'm in the process of like revisions and editing, and like I can go back and see those things that I wrote like in those moments of like just absolute like rage, and edit them and revisit them, and like continue to write the same book, but now from like a healed and whole perspective. And I was just like, what a cool like experience just being an author and writing is, like to be able to have a project be both like the raw, real, in the moment of like, I don't have answers, and I don't know if anybody has answers. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe answers are a bunch of baloney. And then like also to not let yourself just like, kind of like Facebook post, just like put it out in the world, and it's like wounding other people with your wounds, but also to like have the time to like sit with that, and then revisit and edit and continue to like mold that into something that's like an honest reflection of where you were at the time, and with a healthy perspective in the future, like it's just so timeless and so cool.
That like blows my mind that you just said that, because that is exactly, I'm like not the only one with this experience. I was explaining to my boyfriend not that long ago, because my boyfriend's mom recently read The Nameless Heir.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, we love her.
That's so
and
cool.
Of course she came up to me and asked like when is the second book coming out? That sentence giving me PTSD.
Yeah.
And for anyone who has read my book or will, I was explaining to my boyfriend that it is kind of strange to me to read back on that book, because I wrote it at a time where I had a very specific mindset and I was going through something in real life. And I felt like in order to write the second book, I would kind of have to revisit that and those feelings, and the feelings that being in that headspace again would bring up. And so that is why it has taken a bit longer than promised for me to write a second book, because that's a little bit intimidating for me to continue that series and just try not to connect it where I was in life when that book was coming out and I was writing it. But it is also so therapeutic, everything you were saying, of you can completely invest yourself in this character and have them not get over it, but have them come out good in the end. And even if you haven't experienced that yet, it is so therapeutic to have them like be any demons that you haven't yet, or survive this situation that you're currently in. It is amazing to do that. And like you said, what a cool experience to be an author and to do that.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's such a privilege. And I mean, you can see that reflected in like normal everyday practices of like journaling, or like, I mean, talk therapy, or whatever it is that people like go through to help them process and handle things. And so it is such a burden and a privilege to know that like these are one person's like thoughts and ideas and beliefs and like processes that we're working out on paper, And so like we have to handle that with grace and thought and understand, you know, that like the way that you put a reader into a character's head has an impact on the reader, you know? Which is why like it's so important to be careful that you like, you know, like that you are handling that well as an author, and then also to handle your own mental health well, like as you're reading stories, you know, because you're putting yourself in such a vulnerable position every time you
Oh,
pick
it's
up
so
a book,
vulnerable
you
to be
know?
like, here is the entire inside of my head and all my thoughts and feelings and emotions. And you
Mm-hmm.
just know that obviously reading is incredibly subjective and people aren't
Yeah.
going to like it. And so
Yeah.
you're taking criticism of the most vulnerable part of yourself. And so it's very
Mm-hmm.
intimidating. It's something you
Yeah.
want to prepare for mentally and emotionally. I am very privileged that knock on wood, that I haven't really had a horrible, like, nasty review or
Mm-hmm.
someone being any type of cruel or unsupportive of me.
Yeah.
But that is something I definitely prepared for, was because I am a little bit of a hypocrite. I'm a very picky reader. I do not enjoy most books that I pick up. And so for me, I went in with that mentality of it's subjective and
Mm-hmm.
people aren't going to like it and then people are going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
So build that boundary for yourself
Yeah.
before really exposing any nerves, and it
Right.
gets a little bit easier to handle.
Absolutely. And then if you read a book and it's not for you, like don't there's nothing wrong with you. There's also nothing wrong necessarily with that author. Like, you know, if you didn't read it and like you feel like you didn't get it or whatever, like it just wasn't your cup of tea, you know, like that's okay. You know, it's not a reflection of like anybody's anybody's value or like whether you're operating on the same plane or whatever. It's just a
Yeah,
different
there's no
experience,
need to
you
leave
know.
a nasty Goodreads comment or review. I
Yeah.
see y'all people. I see what y'all be saying on Goodreads. You need to
Oh my
chill.
goodness. And like I'm an advocate for like being honest, but I think there's a way to
Yes.
be honest with tact. You
Yeah.
know, like you can be clear and you don't have to there's no need. You're not a stand-up comedy routine. You don't need to be clever and witty and like, you know, really just stick the knife in there as many times as possible. You can just
Constructed.
yeah, exactly. You can be professional in the way
Yes.
that you give feedback because like you said, like it's so vulnerable. This is somebody's life's work.
Hmm.
It's an art form, you know, truly. So it's like but somebody taking, you know, like painting or like honestly, it's like painting, you know, with your own like experience and thoughts and visions and the way that you see the world, you know. So like let's just all be kind.
Yeah. Unless it's like
Just
a Harry Styles fan fiction on Wattpad, there's
oh my
really no need.
god. It's okay. It's not that serious, guys. We're
It's not that deep.
all yeah, so we're all figuring
It's
this
only
out
my
together.
life's work.
It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Yeah. But is there any I meant to actually ask you this at the beginning and then forgot. Is there anything that you are reading or watching right now that you would like recommend to the readers, you know, like related to your style, your projects or not, you know, just like anything
Oh,
that's holding your
absolutely.
attention right now?
I am a wee bit behind on this trend specifically for this book that I suggest. And this is a little two-parter because this is advice and an answer to your question. One of my
Ooh.
favorite things to do after I finish a draft or
Mhm.
editing process, or if you're done, it's never done. If you're
Yeah.
done with your book, is read another book in your genre.
Mm,
Read, like, there's always the similar books agents always want to see and
yeah.
recommend. So make sure you've read those similar books because
Mhm.
they're so inspiring. You can make sure that you're matching their pace, as in word count and chapter length. Get
Mhm.
inspiration from that.
Yeah.
Chapter headers. Are you naming your chapters? Feel that out a little bit in your genre.
Yeah.
The language choice is very good. Your
Mhm.
prose. Get inspiration and learn. And yeah, make sure you've actually read the books you're saying are
Yeah.
similar to your book. They're very good to do that. And so that's what I'm doing. And this is actually my first read through of Stephanie Garber's Once Upon a Broken Heart.
Stop it right now.
I know, I'm so behind. Don't hate me.
It's so good.
I am late on this train, but y'all are so right. It's so good.
We told you. Oh my gosh.
You were right. It is really good. And so that's a little snippet is that that's in my similar books, because mine is also very my book that I have an agent for and will hopefully come out soon with. And I promise, if anybody listening is an OG Instagram person, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
I'm coming back and theming a little bit, working on that again. And and I'll start to talk about this book a little bit more. But very fairy tale themed, because my agent and I feel like this is fine to say. Any
spoilers.
Some advice for any writers right now? What's so challenging about being a writer is the market. If trad publishing is your goal, the market is it changes, and you wrote a book because it's really popular right now. But by the time you finish it and are ready in 2 years, it is no longer popular.
Right.
Which is so difficult. And my book one of the beginning drafts of this book, I really tried to hop on that romantasy train. Because there was some feedback I got from my first book is it's not heavily romance based, as a lot of YA isn't, or maybe shouldn't be as heavily romance as it is.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to write a romantasy, and that's kind of what I put in my queries, and that's what the identity I tried to run with it. And the agent I'm speaking to let me know that that's kind of falling off now.
Of course.
Because it was a very, very saturated in the market for a long time. And a lot of these romantasy duologies they signed deals with, and none of them did very well because of how saturated it was. And so it's kind of on the decline. And so even if you have, or you just wrote a romantasy book, maybe try dropping that word from your queries and send a few of those and see if you get any pushback after that.
Right.
Because it's falling off a little bit. And so instead, me and my agent leaned more heavily into the dark fairy tale aspect of this coming book. It is a very loose, not retelling, barely reimagining of Sleeping Beauty. So that's the aesthetic we're rolling with. It's very dark fantasy, Sleeping Beauty. That's why I think Once Upon a Broken Heart, Stephanie Garber. And if you've ever seen the movie, I am feral for Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. It's on the list.
To watch it. I know Snow White, different fairy tale than Sleeping Beauty, but it's still like those dark fairy tale vibes, you know?
Yeah.
And so those are the two things I think are really close knitted to this book. And if you've ever listened, and music obviously plays such a huge, it's a different version of creativity. And music, if you've ever listened to Vincent, how do you say his last name? Lima? Yes. I promise you that this book was inspired by a Vincent Lima song and a picture I saw on Pinterest. This entire book came from that.
I believe it. Oh my gosh. And it's so fantastic. It's like just the atmospheric, like lush, just decadent. This book is so aesthetically pleasing and so good.
And another tip for the writing girlies, there's also a very big interest in the Gothic space right now. In the upcoming few years of fiction in publishing world. And so if you have anything, or even you just want to incorporate some of those themes, if you can write on that a little bit, there might be a little more agent pickup.
It's good to know. The pro tip, write it down. You heard it here first, folks. Tips. Oh my gosh, that's actually something that like I believe and I can see, but I didn't like comprehend it until you just said that. But I actually am in the same writing program as a new up and coming author named Ruth Wynn, and she's writing like Vietnamese inspired Gothic kind of fun. Yeah, she's super cool. So I'm so excited to like, she actually like she's agented as well, I believe, and so she's like, you know, got things that are coming out and in the works, and I'm like so excited to get more into her like stuff just because I like, I'm getting to know her kind of through being in the circles, and it's like
I
I'm so
will write
excited.
that name down so I can look into her.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Ruth Wynn, and its last name is spelled like Nguyen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super, super, super cool. Uh, well, this has been so great and fun. Any other like final thoughts of like advice, what you'd say to somebody who hopes to be agented or have or have an indie published book like that kind of is seeing some of the things that you are working towards or have accomplished, and it's like, I would love to get to that point. Like anything that you'd say to them?
Be an advocate for yourself. It is very vulnerable, like we've said.
Yeah.
It's almost the feeling, at least for me personally, I felt it was almost embarrassment of, I wrote this book and it's fantasy and you want people to take you seriously. Just own it. Just be proud that you did this and advocate for yourself. It's not an industry you can be very passive in and get far.
Yeah.
You have to really make a name and a voice for yourself. Find your niche, find what you're good at, and really ride on it. And get on social media. I hate saying that, but it's really true. That it will help you get farther. This is coming from someone who's really scared of TikTok and really scared of book talk because they're really mean over there compared to Bookstagram.
Right.
But get on there, make friends. It's really easy because I feel like at least the Booksta community, very kind, very welcoming.
Yeah.
Well, are very happy to support each other. Don't be afraid to shoot a DM and ask like, hey, are you interested? Want to post about my book? I want to read your book. Make those connections like even you and I have. And how much you've helped me. And how much I would love to help you once I get a little bit of a better name for myself.
Oh my gosh. But see, like, that's what's so fun is like building each other up, and like watching each other succeed and being a part of that and sharing that. It's like it's so much fun. And so, yeah, like definitely like don't sell yourself short, like you did a thing, you're doing a thing. And that confidence and that belief in yourself, and like in what's meant to be is going to get you places. And like, it's just a matter of letting the pieces fall into place and continuing to just be faithful, with what you have and where you're at. So
attend that writers conference and pitch your book to anyone who will listen.
Absolutely.
Feel annoying.
Because that's what they want to see, that you believe in it. And like, I can't even tell you.
If you don't, who will?
Right, exactly. I can't even tell you like the last I went to a writers conference last year and wasn't even trying to pitch my book, like was just literally, people are like, well, what do you write? What do you write? And just like talking about my book and the things that I liked about it and the things that were important to me and the themes that I saw there. And I mean, just who I am as a person, I tend to be very passionate, but also like, this is my thing, my project, my book. And so, and people would be like, I like want to connect with you. I want to get to know you better. And like, because I can tell that this is important to you. Like, they can tell when you are involved and invested in something versus when you're not. And so like, don't be afraid to get excited about it. You don't need to sell yourself short. It's not just a silly little book. Just because it's not, astrophysics doesn't mean that it's not important. You're changing people's lives and you're making them think, and that's not nothing,
Every author that you love and look up to they were exactly where you are at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So keep doing what you're doing.
Been there.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, like keep on believing in yourself, and we can't wait to see what you guys do. Oh my gosh. But until the next time, listener, oops, spoilers.